Anyone can accidentally put themselves into a bad situation. Because of this fact, people should always be given the right to an abortion if needed. But we do need to find a cutoff point for when it should be legal. It is also important that all states' laws on this topic should end up being universal. Right now, South Carolina laws allow abortions up until 6 weeks after conception. I believe that this is a good timeline because at some point we have to consider the unborn fetus as an unborn child instead of a cluster of fertilized eggs. In South Carolina, consent is also one thing that is heavily required. If the patient is deemed mentally unfit or underage, a spouse or a legal guardian can take the role and give consent for this patient. Consent can also be waived in the event that the child is a product of incest or the mother's life is potentially in immediate danger. Hospitals and clinics are also given the right to refuse abortion services. After a survey done, it is found that 40% of women seeking abortions are seeking them for financial reasons. 36% of women seek them for timing. 31% of women seek abortions for partner-related reasons. And 29% of women seek abortions because of the need to focus on other children in their lives. We also need to consider the women whose pregnancies are involuntary. They were not included in these facts. And think about the women who abort for their unborn child's well-being, whether that be health reasons or mental. It's also important to think about the fetus's developmental rate. At week 2, this is still considered fertilization period. During this period, the embryo is 1/100th of an inch long, and there's not a whole lot going on as far as development. In week 4, the brain begins developing. The heart begins beating, the limbs begin forming, and the fetus is now 1/6 of an inch long. During week 6, the lungs begin forming, the feet and hands begin forming. There is now activity that can be seen and recognized in the brain, and the fetus is now 1/2 of an inch long. As we can gather, abortion could be seen as unethical after 6, especially up to 8 weeks after fertilization. We also should think about the fact that abortion should definitely not be legal at any point after the first trimester has concluded. The second trimester is deemed as 13 to 26 weeks through the pregnancy, and the developmental rates at 13 and 14 weeks is the forming of the skeleton. The fetus can now swallow and pee. The gender becomes apparent, and the fetus has grown significantly to now 3.5 inches and is now can be weighed as 1.5 ounces. The end of the second trimester, which is weeks 25 and 26, the baby can now recognize and respond to sounds by kicking or moving. They spend most of their time in REM sleep while they develop further, awaiting birth. The lungs are now fully formed and functional, and the baby can now be measured at 9 inches and nearly 2 pounds. In conclusion, although South Carolina allows abortions, not all states do. There should always be regulations on these laws, but everyone in every state should be given the right to have an option for abortion if it is needed. Abortion is much more complex than just killing an unborn child, and it is time that we evolve our mindsets and laws to fit this truth. Thank you.